this is, of course, not the outcome we would have hoped for.
No.
Probably one of the worst days of Ilia Malinin's life, and a incredibly crazy one for Mikhail Shaidorov, who I'm sure is both elated but also
Shocked
and probably didn't want to win the way that it all came down.
Nobody wants to win that way.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure he's also excited to be an Olympic gold medalist.
Absolutely. And I'm sure Kazakhstan is beside itself in excitement.
I hope so.
And I'm thrilled for them.
Me too.
It's a big moment. So, of course, we are talking about the Olympic men's individual final, a free skate after a really compelling short program where kind of everybody was sort of great.
Yeah.
And then a free skate that just felt like cursed ice. I mean, not for nothing, Friday the 13th, I'm not even superstitious, but man, you can't help but like look at it as like cursed ice. It was a disaster for so many of the men, but a few of them came through and some pretty wild things happened here. So let's get into it.
Welcome to Choreography, a podcast about the greatest sport on ice, figure skating. I'm Wendy Buskey.
And I'm Adrian Buskey. And it would be easy to dwell heavily on the performance of Ilia Malinin, particularly in this free skate, where the presumed projected winner by pretty much everybody
I can't imagine anyone not having predicted him, except apparently there was a tarot card reader. I heard about this on the interwebs that had predicted that Ilia would have a terrible Olympics. And I mean, not for nothing, he's already a team Olympic gold medalist, so that is not terrible.
Yeah.
But this moment, what you said earlier, being one of the worst days of his life, I think is a fair assessment.
Yeah, it's a real kind of fall of Icarus moment, you know, where somebody flew so high and at the last moment burned out.
At the worst possible moment.
Yeah. Just a month ago, we were at U.S. Nationals, and it was such an extraordinary week of skating. But of course, one of the worst thing about it was seeing Jason Brown kind of crash out there.
Heartbreaking.
Yes, it was heartbreaking. Yeah. It was absolutely like just a truly gut punch of a moment when his free skate fell apart. And it was like that times 3 here. You know, it's
well, because of the spotlight, because of the pressure, because of the expectations. And I know we're going to get into all of this because we can't not, but we always talk about the podium first before we really dig into everything else. And Ilia wasn't on the podium. So we should start with those who were victorious today and try to start on a bit of a higher note, or at least lift it a little bit. And then we will dig into Ilia, because I also kind of just need the time to process it still, even though it's been a couple hours now.
Yeah. And I think you can't frame this entire narrative on one person's worst day.
Absolutely
not. You have
not.
to talk about the people who actually came away with the wins here. And there's something that's really stuck in my head since this has come down here. So, of course, the gold medal winner, to I would imagine almost everybody's surprise, was Kazakhstan's Mikhail Shaidorov. And in our preview episode for the men's event, there's a couple of things that we talked about. We talked about
not predicting him to win, just to be clear.
No, but specifically something that you said in there is that, you know, you talk about like when we made our predictions at the end of it, you had said that like your gut, like you felt like your personal crystal ball kept saying Misha. Yeah, that was the thing that you kept saying. And when we made our podium predictions, we both predicted Ilia would win. I predicted Yuma for silver and Shun for bronze.
And I predicted Shun for silver and Misha, Mikhail Shaidorov, for bronze.
Yeah.
Which at the time even felt a little lofty for him because he's had such a volatile season, but he did look a lot better at Four Continents. Mm-hmm. However, this was way out of my expectations. I just thought there was much less pressure on him than Yuma and Ilia and Shun at this point, because there was so much expectation on them that maybe he would sneak in there for a bronze medal because of how good he looked at Four Continents. I never would have expected a gold medal. However, there is also something that a lot of people are talking about, and it was the literal first thing that I did consider whenever realizing that Misha was going to win the gold medal, and that was thinking of his coach, Alexei Romanov. And for those who are not familiar with Alexei Romanov, he is also an Olympic gold medalist. He won the Olympics in Lillehammer in 1994, and he won it over the likes of Brian Boitano, Victor Petrenko, Kurt Browning, Elvis Stoico, legends of the sport that are still talked about all the time and are still very present in the sport. And yet, Alexei Romanov was the one who came through in the clutch at that Olympic Games and shocked everyone with a gold medal. Granted, it was nowhere near the shock that this is. It's a different category, but still an upset. It's hard not to think of how history is repeating itself.
There are definitely parallels. You know, they say that history rhymes. And yeah, it is crazy that his coach had a similar circumstance. And something we've talked a lot about with Misha is that he's never been the front runner, but we were always saying he, and much like Shun, are the guys that, while you don't think they're going to take the top, they are the guys that are the most likely to put up a decent score. And if somebody else messes up, they slip into that spot. And another thing that you kind of predicted, you didn't want to, but you expected Yuma to have struggles. And of course, we were both hoping for that to not to be the case.
Oh, I desperately wanted it to not be the case.
He held on to silver here, and we'll get to him in a second, but, not cleanly by any means. And Mikhail, the other thing that I said in that last one is that I was like, I want to see the return of the panda. Like, I was like, enter the panda, which
the panda came through.
He did. So if you're not like a constant figure skating fan, if you're not watching outside of the Olympics, when we say the panda thing, it's because Mikhail Shaidorov a couple of years ago did a tour in Japan with a bunch of the other skaters. And while he was there, he put together this gala exhibition performance where he does Kung Fu Panda, and he wears a giant panda suit, and he does kung fu and does a bunch of silly stuff, and he can do a triple jump in the suit, and it's hilarious and silly, and
then he started using it in exhibitions throughout the following season.
Yes, and it's very indicative of who Mikhail Shaidorov is as a person, because
he's a silly panda.
He's a silly panda. He's a guy who obviously takes the skating very seriously, but not himself. Mm-hmm. He's sort of known for occasionally giving hugs to the ice sweepers who pick up all of the stuffies and stuff after, like, they'll come up to him and hand it to him and he'll give them a hug, which is just sort of an unusual thing to see happen.
He has a very sweet, like, gentle, kind of shy nature. And for all that today is, I'm in shock and I feel so many mixed emotions and so desperately sad for Ilia. I could not be more thrilled for Mikhail Shaidorov.
Yeah.
He is a person I have just adored. All season, I just kept saying, I wish I could just see Misha, his actual smile, his joy, because he has such a lightness on the ice. And there it was. So regardless of any of the circumstances surrounding it, the biggest congratulations to him.
Yeah. Now, if we look at his programs here, he does a 92-94 in the short program, which is great.
Yes.
Terrific short program. He brought his dune back for the end of the season, which was a good choice, and it served him very well. We have been pretty mixed feelings about his free skates through a lot of the season.
That's being kind.
Yeah.
I don't love that music, but man, did he prove us wrong.
Yeah.
Big time wrong.
He came through on it. I mean, that program the whole season has been this weird mix of we recognize that it's a Kazakhstani vocalist, somebody that he said that he really wanted to use somebody from his country for his free skate music.
Which I totally appreciate.
And wow, did that work out for him here.
It did.
But we haven't just really loved the composition of that program through most of the season. And a lot of times he just didn't look very sure-footed through it. And he has that extraordinary triple axel quad combo to start the program, but it didn't work at Four Continents. And
it worked a lot here.
Yes, it was extraordinary. He put like 21 points on the board immediately. And right out the gate, it was like, oh boy, it's on. And he just held it together for the rest of the program. Was it a perfect performance? No, but it was really strong. I think it was clean overall.
There was one little step out on a jump, but it was, for the most part, it was as clean as anybody here, other than maybe Steven Gogolev, who might have been the tiniest bit cleaner.
Yeah, and we'll get to Gogo because that's a heck of a story on its own. But when it got around to the footwork sequence, we actually saw Misha show up.
Yes.
And if you watched him for a long time, you can see the weight of the stress of the program, the pressure on him, and he kind of goes away. He kind of goes into this fugue state where he's just skating the jumps and just working hard to get something done. And sometimes that works out for him. He was a silver medalist at Worlds last year, and in much in a very same circumstance where he didn't expect to end up in the position that he was in. But here, once the jumps are together, you see him light up. You see him have that, I did what I needed to do. Now I can just enjoy the rest of this skate. And it was so wonderful to see that joy on him.
Yeah.
And, in the end, he comes away with a 291.58 total score. That is our winning score here. We were expecting an Olympics that would likely break records, right?
Yeah, we
thought the numbers would be well over 300 here. So the final winning skate being a 291.58 is an enormous surprise, but it was what he needed to do on the day.
Right. We were expecting Ilia and Yuma to be chasing, if nothing else, their own personal bests. I was expecting that there was a goal of beating Nathan Chen's amazing short program world record from the last Olympics. That did not occur. But then again, we should start talking about Yuma because his own story was definitely not what he wanted, regardless of him getting a silver medal. It was not the way he would have wanted it, I'm sure.
Of course, yeah. When we look at Yuma here, he's in the spot that was kind of expected, the silver medal position.
He got the medal. We all kind of, I didn't put it in my predictions, but it's what I, in my heart of hearts, expected.
Yeah. And his short program was really, really nice, but not as good as what he did in the team event. In the team event, he was practically flawless. It was extraordinary. And that's his, I think, real kind of big Olympic moment is just that team event short program.
That was magic.
Yeah. It's still really good here. He just has a flub on one jump.
Yeah, it's very minimal.
Yeah, but it just meant that after the short program, he still had a really good number with a 103.07, but it wasn't the 108 something that he had racked up in team. And it did leave him just slightly more vulnerable, but it still should have been plenty enough to ride into the free skate with padding to secure his position. And we didn't know if that was going to happen because his free skate was a mess.
It was sadly the messiest I've seen him this season. He's had other free skates where it has not gone his way. I'd have to go back and look at other free skate scores to say if it was his lowest score of the season. It probably was not. It was just beyond just the fact that he had so many misses on the jumps. They just never looked under his feet. He had a few that went very nicely, but he never looked comfortable. I was so hopeful when he first came out onto the ice because he tried to hype up the crowd, which I've never seen Yuma do before a performance. Yeah. And I was excited. I'm like, oh, maybe he's in this fantastic mindset and he's just going to enjoy this. And then the nerves, I would assume the nerves just got the better of him.
It just felt like his blades couldn't find the ice at times.
Yeah, agreed.
There was just an uncharacteristic amount of just slips, where you would just see him in a footwork sequence. He'd go into a transitional element, and then it's just his blades would slip out from underneath him.
Yeah, more than the jump problems, that was the one that shocked me, is that he had this slip going into his Ina Bauer, and that is so out of character for him. And it certainly makes me wonder about the quality of the ice problems that we've been hearing about.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of complaints, and we're not going to throw that out as some sort of excuse for anything that's happened here. But that is a complaint that a number of the skaters have been talking about, is that the quality of the ice in this arena is not good and has been kind of problematic for a lot of them over this entire competition.
Yes, but that said, it was still enough to hang on. He was second in that short program, had enough padding so that whenever he was sixth in the free skate overall, that his score added together still kept him 5 to 6 points ahead of the bronze medalist Shun Sato.
Yeah, so Yuma really keeps this position based on the strength of the short program.
Absolutely, he does.
And unfortunately, the Yumado, Tornado like program.
Yumado,
that's what people are referring to it online as.
I am apparently a plebe and I don't know these things.
I spent too much time on Blue Sky.
I see.
Seeing what people were saying. But yeah, it didn't give him the Olympic moment we were always waiting for with it. But he does come away from this event with 2 silver medals. And in the end, I think that the thing that made Yuma happiest was that he got to share this podium with Shun Sato.
100%. I really think he was far more excited for Shun Sato getting that bronze medal than he was for his own medal. It very much read that way. And I mean, Shun, on another day, Shun could have been the champion here, but unfortunately his short program didn't go the way he was hoping it would.
Yeah, he was far back. I mean, he was, I think, 9th in the short program, which was, and at that point, I think we and he felt like he was out of the medal contention.
Yeah, it seemed like a very big long shot because unlike some others like an Adam Shohim Fa, he is not known for like the big comeback. And even with a fantastic score in the free skate, the assumption would have been that, if you're in 9th, the other, at least 3 of the 8 guys ahead of you are going to score higher than that.
Yeah.
And maintain their position. Who knew? It didn't need that. And Shun, his 186.20 in his free skate, and he had a really strong free skate. It was not perfect.
Yeah.
It wasn't as good as we've seen from him in other competitions.
The team event was so great for him. And this one was very good.
It was very good.
But I also felt like he went into that free skate not feeling the pressure of the podium on him.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't any more emotive than we usually see out of him. In fact, he didn't quite do the crowd hype kind of thing that we saw a little bit from him in the team event, but he did feel a little freer. Like there was a sense of him skating for himself rather than skating for a medal. And I think in this particular instance, I really think it saved him. I think that going in without that pressure, and I think Mikhail is in a very similar kind of position.
Completely agree.
That going into the free skate, neither of them thought the podium was within their reach. And so they skated for themselves and their teams and their countries and ended up working out. And I'm super pleased that Shun Sato is on this podium.
So happy.
He has been the most consistent man this whole season. And even though he is not the artiste and he's not the single most like powerful like jumper, even though he's the most textbook and overall
in terms of his air position.
Yeah. I know there's some arguments about his edge takeoff and his Lutz that it's too flat or whatever. Like, and
that may be true.
Yeah. You can see a lot of banding about there. But regardless, particularly after him feeling like he had not lived up to the moment in the team event and that Japan had taken silver there because he had not been able to beat Ilia in the team, him coming through here and getting on the podium along with Yuma is a really big deal. And I'm very, very excited for them.
I mean, if I'm honest, I'm thrilled for all 3 of these men.
It's a great podium.
It's a wonderful podium. It's 3 fantastic athletes who I admire so much. And I'm genuinely so happy for them. I just wish, and I think now even though he's not 4th, we need to talk about Ilia.
Yeah. So of course the narrative that at least here in the States is going to be hammered constantly.
Way more than I'm going to be happy about.
Right. Is we sent a guy to the Olympics with the presumption that he would win everything. We talk a lot about on the show about the NBC-ification of this sport and how broadcasters and the producers, and they pick a couple of people and they just hammer in on them nonstop. Like you cannot get away from it. And if there's a thing that like we watched a mix of venue feeds and the feeds with commentary and stuff during this on Peacock. And the thing that we kept complaining about every time we were watching them with like Tara and Johnny was how often they would talk about Ilia while somebody else was skating. It's like they could not stop talking about him whenever somebody else would be on the ice because they had to compare everything to him.
Yeah. And I get it in the sense that he was expected to win. But when I'm watching Yuma Kagiyama, reigning Olympic silver medalist, getting ready for his skate, and you're talking about Ilia, I'm frustrated. Feel free once the scores come in and then it's time for Ilia to skate. But please focus on what the person who is there. And I understand. I understand what they're doing. They're trying to, especially for audiences that don't know all of these people. They're trying to make sure everyone understands the context of the situation. But I feel like it is so disrespectful, and it made me extremely frustrated before all of this happened.
We've been complaining about this the whole time.
Yes, yeah. I'm tired
There's
of it.
There's been a lot of weird cutaways and just a lot of really, plenty of places where the American broadcast just does not respect the skaters that are not the Americans.
Exactly.
And it's
infuriating.
It's super frustrating. It's also just like the NBC narrative always picks up a few people. We saw it with Simone Biles. We saw it with Nathan Chen. They pick whatever front runners we have. I mean, with this time around, one of the things that they made a huge narrative was Lindsey Vonn and her coming back, especially after an injury.
Oh, it was gutting.
And then she broke her leg on the slopes, and you're still getting ads playing afterwards talking about her
recovery to get back to the Olympics.
Yeah, you're not pulling the things. I mean, we were getting ads showing like Jason Brown talking about that I just want to help my team win gold, and it was like he's not even part of this team,
I know. And I mean, I understand that, once an ad has been cut. Fun fact, y'all, I worked in advertising for a really long time, so I understand media a little bit.
Yeah.
Changing a commercial at the last minute is not easy. That's real hard. However, once like your campaign is running, your commercials are running, and your media is in market, you can pull it.
Yeah.
And
you can sub things out
and
if you had something else produced.
in. And particularly the one with Lindsey Vonn after her awful accident, that was the one that hurt more. Like the one with Jason, it is what it is. It's uncomfortable for those who know, but there's a lot of people that don't even know who he is necessarily, so it's irrelevant.
There's also tons of ads with the shib-sibs in them,
exactly,
which feel
same
kind of
thing.
odd. Yeah.
But the one with Lindsey Vonn talking about her recovery, and as a viewer, because they've told you 1,000 times, the tragic accident she had. And I mean, thankfully she's recovering and everything's getting better.
Yeah.
But it's a horrible thing to watch over and over again when this athlete is now in traction. You can pull that commercial. Anyway, we're digressing.
Right. It's just that sort of frustration with the way these narratives play out and the way the production on them is. And you can't discount the fact that so much pressure has been dropped on Ilia's shoulders over the course of this Olympics. Because
especially in the past 6 months, if not at the highest point the past month. Since nationals, while it did not make me concerned enough to think that this was going to occur, I still thought he would come through. I did not think it was going to be his world record breaking score here. I've been worried about him. Like the pressure, the eyeballs, like figure skating in the US is not as popular as it once was. And NBC and all of the media leading up to the Olympics have put him at the forefront, understandably, because he's been one of the most reliable U.S. athletes. Most dominant U.S. athletes. So I understand. However, he is 21 years old in a sport where he doesn't get that kind of attention. This is his first Olympics, and it's a pressure cooker. And I feel like he has been put in front of every camera, in every interview, in every situation. And I'm sure to a certain degree, considering how much he wants to be an icon of the sport, he was embracing it.
Yeah.
At the same time, there's a part of me that is like, somebody should have been like, hey, maybe not everything.
Yeah, maybe don't be in the stands for the entire free dance like 2 days before
and I am not a coach.
And in the end, all of that is extraneous to what happens on the ice, right? Like people will write thesis papers on this afterwards as far as like how sport works. But let's talk about what happens with Ilia because we're talking about in the macro rather than the micro. So let's focus in. Ilia comes into this event as the odds-on favorite. He is in first after the short program.
By a good amount.
Yes, he has a lot of padding. He has a 108.16, which was like roughly in the same area that Yuma had been in the team event after the short. It's still below what he's capable of, right?
Yes, but it's in the range of where he usually is.
Yes, we would have expected it like a 110 to 113, especially with Olympic inflation.
Yeah.
It felt like that was in range for him. And I think that after 3 skates at that point, after seeing him twice in the team event and then in the short program, there's a sense from him that he's not getting the numbers or having the performances that he's expecting. You can see every time a look of, I know I should be doing better than this. I should be like really breaking through. When he finally takes the ice here, and notably, things get real messy in the men's free skate.
Particularly in the last 4 men.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that bad beforehand. It really felt that the pressure of the last four
Yeah.
just went through the roof.
Yeah. When Ilia takes the ice for that free skate, he has plenty of padding. Yuma has just given him lots of room, lots of runway. And he really doesn't have to go out and throw a massive program.
He does not.
He could throw like 3 quads and lock it down.
He could have done the same program he did at U.S. Nationals.
Yes. But if there's a thing that we've talked about for a few seasons with Ilia is that usually his like worst competition of the year is U.S. Nationals. And in the past, it has seemed like when he doesn't have a really strong competitor on his heels, he tends to perform like less well. It seems like he thrives with a little bit more of that person on his heels pushing him to perform stronger and better. And here he's taking the ice with the awareness that he has to essentially do the bare minimum.
Well, yeah. I mean, a 291.58 was Misha's score.
Yeah.
Ilia doesn't come below that. Like,
right.
That is a relatively easy score for him to beat.
Right. He goes in there with all of that leeway, and instead of having that pressure on him to go ham and do the full
just go
power
Ilia.
thing, go Ilia, instead it seems like he's taking the ice with that awareness that it's just his to lose. We see that first quad flip.
It's beautiful.
And it's gorgeous. And you're like, okay, we're off to a good start. And then the assumption is that the next thing he goes for is the quad axel. It could have been a triple axel. I don't know what he was.
It looked like he was going for the quad.
Yeah.
He wanted to land it at the Olympics.
Right, because of course we all wanted to see the quad axel at the Olympics. The expectation has been along with 4 skates, we think we will see the quad axel, and he pops it. That's the moment that changes everything about the skate. Because Ilia, at his core strength, is an axel jumper. I mean, like, yes, he is the quad god.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that's going to need to be revisited a little bit after this, right? Because,
maybe.
Well, I just think, it's hard to brand yourself. It's hard to carry on with that. I've often felt that like Ilia is sort of like a Top Gun fighter pilot. For all that, like off the ice, he seems like people always talk about his golden retriever energy. Like he's so much a fan of the sport, of his fellow skaters, of like his fellow competitors. And he's a really good sportsman. And we saw the way he embraces Misha
excellent
afterwards.
Sportsman. That was
it's a
gold medal behavior.
It's a very important moment for him to graciously walk over and congratulate Misha on his win.
There's a lot of men in the past that would not have done that. So it is impressive.
Yes, but you have to have a certain level of hyper confidence to do the kinds of things that Ilia typically does. And I think that that's the thing that some people find off-putting, is that because they think that he's arrogant or that he has a lot of hubris. And
he has to be.
You have to believe in yourself to do a quad axel, right?
Yeah.
Like he's the only person in the world to ever land it in competition. You have to believe that you can break the laws of physics.
Well, I was going to say that jump, people had repeatedly said they just didn't know if it was possible.
Yeah.
Based on physics. Think of the amount of cockiness you have to be like, so science tells me I shouldn't be able to do this. I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And then you do.
Right. Yeah. However, again, he pops that axle here, and immediately there's that sense of like, oh, he's got room. But
I wasn't that scared yet.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, he just didn't get the quad axle. It'll be fine. Just breathe.
Yeah. And then the rest of the program breaks down. And
the rest of the program was just, I've been watching figure skating since I was 5. I've never seen this. The closest I want to say is unfortunately things like Kevin Amos at that horrible like
French Nationals. Yeah.
That was worse, but it was on a smaller stage.
Yeah.
This version of it here, my heart is broken for him. Like genuinely, my heart is just broken for Ilia right now, because all I can think of is I want to, like, maybe this is just like my, like a big mom energy where I'm just like, if I was his mom who was too scared to like, and I totally get it. I have anxiety.
She never comes to his competition. She didn't come to Milan. She like was not there. She didn't watch it in real time.
And I understand that.
Yeah.
But now I would be on a plane to get to him as fast as possible.
Yeah. I actually didn't watch the last 30 seconds of the skate.
Really? I didn't know that.
You don't remember that?
No.
We were watching this live, and when
I was in shock.
Yeah, I actually got up and walked out. I had to pace. I couldn't hold the energy of it. Like I just basically didn't want to see like those last 30 seconds because it was very clear at that point that it had completely broken. All of the things that he does that are exciting and bombastic, and you saw the energy come out of the footwork sequence. He has a fall. He has 2 falls. He has 2 falls. He doubles another jump. It is just, it is so uncharacteristic. But it is like the prototypical collapse of somebody in their highest pressure moment. There's a thing I've seen a lot of people kind of harp on, which was that in the kiss and cry, the camera audio catches him say, "They should have sent me to Beijing. This wouldn't have happened." And we know that
he has a lot of anger about that.
Yeah, that all of these years later, and I do like, I understand why people are frustrated to hear this, because for 4 years, he's harbored a lot of resentment about not being sent to the last Olympics. He always felt like he'd earned his place there. And the narrative has been, since that, like, Jason Brown, who they sent instead, did very well at that event. He was 6th at the Olympics last time.
Did brilliantly.
And then Ilia went to Worlds and did poorly. And it just felt like he wasn't fully cooked then. But the argument in defense of him there was that, like, you had an up-and-coming guy who you had sent there could have gotten his first taste of Olympic ice while there was no pressure for him to medal there, and that then he would be better positioned for his next opportunity. Because that is a strategy point, right? Like, that's something that we talk about a lot, is like, you are trying to send your best to the Olympics, but sometimes you're also thinking ahead to the next go around. The Olympic experience is different from anything else. Every single Olympian will tell you this, that there's nothing else like it. There's no other pressure cooker like it. There's no other event where this many eyes is on you. And particularly in a sport that you're not used to having millions and millions of people watching you.
Exactly.
It's a totally different thing. And while I can get some people hearing him say that to himself there and being frustrated with it, I get it.
It sounds very bitter, but also he is a 21-year-old who has been told for the past year, at least really for the past 4 years, that he is the next Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah.
So him reacting like that, to me, is unsurprising. I think he's probably, he's going to go through stages of grief.
Yeah, there should be an allowance for an emotional moment for somebody who has just had probably the worst skate of their life. I mean, the guy who has not been beaten in 3 years goes in here and he's 15th in the free and lands in 8th. Your presumed gold medalist, you would expect, even with mistakes, you'd think Ilia would still be on the podium. He lands in 8th. This is the definition of a disaster. So I'm willing to give him a little bit of grace in that moment that he is processing his own feelings about it, because he was not able to live up to the moment. But after he gets his score, he doesn't break down. He doesn't throw a fit. He doesn't go into hysterics. He gets up and he walks immediately over to Misha, gives him a huge hug, congratulates him on that win.
In a very sincere way.
Yeah. And they have a long moment together standing, and we know they know each other. They've toured together. They've competed. They're friends. And it's a very sincere moment where he goes over to congratulate him. And we know that Ilia is a fan of everybody on this podium and a supporter of every one of them. So you can be frustrated with Ilia about the cocky persona that he puts out, or the incredible amount of success he's had over the years, whether or not you
can
thought
even
it
not
deserved
like him. That's fair.
It's all fair. But in the moment, I think giving him some grace for how he handles like an extraordinarily difficult moment. And there is that moment of time there when he says that thing where, like, they should have sent me to Beijing, where, like, for a moment he's a kid again. For a moment he's a teenager who wasn't ready for this moment, and that he cracked under the pressure.
And he's looking for answers.
Yeah.
Is my feeling.
I think that's what everybody is, right? Like, everybody afterwards is like, why, how could this happen? How could it be this bad? And the answer is that ice is slippery. Your body decides to do different things a different day, and that the mental game is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And however it shook up, he did not meet the moment. And that's going to haunt him. I mean, there's no way around it.
Oh, this is not something that in a month, I mean, he could come out at Worlds, and I honestly hope he does come out at Worlds, and I want him to go as hard as humanly possible.
Yeah.
He may not even go to Worlds. I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
But this is going to take a little bit.
Yeah.
This is a lot to process. And regardless of what happens at Worlds or even in the next like few months, I feel like this is one of those, it's going to take a long time to process everything. I hope he gets all the support he needs. And honestly, I really hope he works with some new people that help basically sort out what happened and how to prevent it from happening again in a real way and not in a put a Band-Aid on it and just go harder.
This level of, because it's a lot more than disappointment, right? Like this is way more than that.
Yeah.
This is, you're going to need some help after this, because I don't think anybody shrugs off something like this. You know, I think about like in all of my years before doing the things we do now or whatever, like I was a performing musician for a long time. You know, we've both done stage work. I know very well what it's like to
fail on a stage.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
Like I know what it's like to get up on a stage and have my hand cramp to the point where I couldn't do chords properly on my guitar. To
forget your lines.
To forget the lines, to have my voice crack. Any of a number of things that like that can happen in the moment. Know that no matter how prepared you are, that just something goes wrong in the moment and you just have a bad. I also know what it feels like to have a fantastic one.
Yeah.
And the high of it. And you're always looking for the way to like replicate the good one and stay away from the bad one. And so you develop rituals around those things. And I think for skaters, a lot of the things they have to deal with is like skating in different time zones and all the different ways that the things can be unusual. But you go to the Olympics and it's even weirder, right? Like
it always sounds like the most surreal experience you could possibly have. And then you are the biggest favorite in your entire discipline across every competition. The only lock felt like Ilia.
Yeah.
Think about that. Millions and millions of people are watching you on the biggest stage in the world. You are not just one of the favorites. You are the favorite.
The broadcasters talk about you like you cannot fail.
Yes. The amount of pressure that puts on this person. And I do want to not like disregard everyone else that's here that did do well.
Yeah,
and
we've got some others to cover and we're pretty deep into this episode, but yeah, like we really have to get into the rest of it. But yeah.
Yes, but beyond everything we've already talked about, Ilia Malinin will probably never hear this, but I just want to send him the biggest hug. And also, I've seen a lot of people say this, and I want to reinforce it. One program does not define you.
Yeah.
One failure does not define you. It's just like one victory wouldn't define you. It's what happens day over day.
Yeah. It's the same things we said about Jason Brown.
Exactly.
Like, you know, it's like when
this
Jason,
is one day.
Yeah. Jason had that failure at US Nationals. And it was like, you have this whole history of amazing things. This day didn't work. And yeah. And that's what happened here. You will have the people who are the Ilia haters are going to gleefully like revel in this failure here. And that really sucks. But you know, at the end of the day, this is sport and sometimes the best in the world fail.
Yeah.
And sometimes wild surprises happen. And it's necessary to a degree for that to happen because otherwise, why would you watch if it felt like it was all preordained, you know? But
I want him to have a nice long conversation with Nathan Chen.
Yeah.
Not that that's going to fix anything, but it might heal a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Nathan knows a lot about this, although he didn't go in with that same level of expectation.
It was pretty big hype, but not nearly to this level.
But Nathan had never.
But he failed.
Yeah, he failed, but then he came back hard. I mean, there's a flip, you know, in Nathan's story. But ideally, Ilia finds a way to shake this off and then goes into this next quadrennial as a redefined person, because I do think that it is a real challenge to carry that moniker of like the quad god, of the best of the world, after you have gone to the biggest platform where you should have walked away with it easily and you did not. So that
I want him to have a Phoenix Rises moment.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I just think that he's going to need a rebrand after this and a reconsideration for like how he approaches the next quad. However, we've got a few more people to talk about here.
Yes.
So let's talk our way through the rest of the podium. I think we're going to need to be kind of brief. We're already, you know, kind of
well, we've already talked about the podium. Let's talk about who was fourth.
Yeah,
because
that's the rest of the rankings. Yeah.
Jun Won-cha from
Yeah.
Korea. Oh, Jun.
Yeah.
You were 1 point away from a bronze medal.
Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah. So South Korea's Jun Won-cha comes in here with a 273.92 total. He is less than a point off the podium from Shun Sato. The difference is that Jun falls on his quad toe.
I know.
And he does a very classic Jun fall.
It was such a bad fall.
We always say about Jun, he's the most beautiful skater, but the worst faller.
He is.
And he has a tendency to crash into the boards, and that's what he did.
I know.
So the rest of his program is fantastic.
It's so good.
You get the rest of that extraordinary quality and charisma and just like magic
passion
moment.
and drama. And,
Yeah.
it's so good.
All those things that you always want to see from Jun happen in that free skate. The unfortunate thing is that the quad toe is also kind of a signature Jun
It's a rough one for him, but you know what?
It's what loses the podium for him.
You know what? I'm so thrilled for Jun for Jun to have just a great competition here overall. Like, it wasn't perfect, but compared to what the rest of this season, other than maybe Four Continents, has looked like for him, I'm thrilled. The fact that he is fourth at the Olympics, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that he really showed up and presented his programs the way that he wanted to, because that was something he had been talking about, that he wanted to give the audience an emotional moment. And I think he really did that.
Yeah. If there's a unexpected story from this Olympics, it is 4 high quality skates from Canada's Steven Gogolev.
4 good skates, Gogo. Fantastic.
Wow.
So happy for you.
This whole season, there has been this discussion about who was going to make it into the Olympics for the Canadian men. And they've not been strong for several seasons. For a country with an incredible legacy of men's figure skaters, they just weren't performing all that well until this season. And then suddenly Steven Gogolev and Roman Sadovsky got good. They were on each other's heels through the entire season.
Like they both woke up at the same time.
Yeah. And when Gogo won the Canadian Nationals and locked his spot here, we were like, well, he's the more powerful jumper and he's been more consistent through the season, but he's not the artistically inclined skater that Roman Sadovsky is. But, we were like, what will we see from him? Because, he did put together a solid season. But if you would have told me that the most consistent performer at this Olympics through 4 skates, both of his skates in the team, both of his skates in the individual competition, Gogo showed up.
It's fantastic. I'm so thrilled for him that he got to do this. I hope that he can ride this wave into the next quad with so much more confidence.
Yes.
I'm so happy for Canada for getting this. A 5th place finish, I'm sure, is a total shock to them and is wonderful. I wanted to reinvigorate their program. I hope it does. I'm very, very happy for him. And it was really cool.
He was second in the free skate behind Mikhail.
You want to talk the top 2 that nobody
saw that coming. And, when we look at, his score here, he's got a 273.78 in the 5th place. That's not a massive score, but that's solid in general international competition. But we were really expecting much bigger, more bombastic scores here.
For sure.
So him delivering 2 nearly clean skates. I think that he has just a little bit of a held on or something in his free. He gets red in one box, but it almost doesn't matter. He really lives up to the moment. You get a little bit more he is not a very expressive guy, but over the course of these skates has shown a little bit more on the ice.
It's improved for sure.
And he harnessed those moments. And I am just thrilled for him because he is not the guy that I thought was going to be sitting in this position when all the dust settled. Moving past that, we're just going to hit a few beats on people past here, right? The 6th place position is the one Russian representative, Peter Gimenik. Peter turns in a couple of solid performances. He shaped up pretty much kind of what we expected from him.
I was going to say exactly coming in, he did exactly what I would have expected. His placement was higher, but we also just talked about why that is.
Yeah.
But his score was exactly around what I would have predicted going into this.
And I got to say, he did well with the short program, given that he'd had to change his music twice. So he did his normal program, but to different music. And we've talked a lot about how much the the shenanigans around copyrights and licensing.
It's been crazy.
There is apparently some movement on fixing that.
Really?
In the grand scheme of things. We'll have to talk about it in our like Olympic wrap up and as we look into the next year. But like there is some exterior corporate things trying to fix some of those issues.
Gosh, I hope so.
So ideally, some of that will see some improvement afterwards. But
you know what I want to see some improvement from? I want to see some free program improvement from one of my absolute favorite men, Adam Shoham-Fa.
His short program was extraordinary.
Oh my gosh, I cried.
Yeah.
I was so happy watching that short program.
He probably should have been in second after that short.
I agree
I think
with
it was a
you.
better program than what Yuma did, but
I
Yuma
also
went
agree.
towards the end, and I think that factored into it. But that was the Adam Shoham-Fa we expect to see. You know,
That's who I believe he is.
Yeah,
He's so good.
He did a 102.55, and it was fantastic. But
Thrilling.
I never expected him to hold on to the podium. He's just been too hot and cold through the entire season. I was really hoping, though, that the free skate would not completely collapse the way that it did. It wasn't as bad as Ilia's, but it was still 12th overall, which landed him in 7th. And it's just unfortunate because the total package was there, but he has just not held those programs together this entire season.
No, I don't know what it is. And I'm sure he doesn't know what it is or else he would have corrected it. It's just something that all year hasn't been quite right. And I hope he takes a nice summer vacation and chills out. And gosh, I just hope he is. I am making the assumption that he is sticking around another 4 years. I want to see Adam be competing for the top of the podium again, because he is entirely capable of it. He is brilliant. And honestly, it makes me kind of sad whenever I think about him and Yuma and Ilia, all of them who were the top 3 going in from the short program. I'm sad when I think of people that are not avid skating fans, because that's the impression that you're leaving them with.
Right.
And I was so hoping we were going to see these beautiful programs, regardless of placement and medals, that just brought in a new like wave of fans that saw these gorgeous programs that have so much excitement to them. I hope that they watch the short program and understand that that's all there.
Right. Yeah.
And that some people just have bad days.
Yeah.
Because it's all there and skating is wonderful. So please keep watching it because these guys are amazing.
If you don't know a lot about it and you tune in and then you're like, oh, your top 3 guys just all nearly, they either threw it away or nearly did. It's got to be really hard for a casual. It's really hard for a fan.
I think it's harder for a fan, but it's harder because we know how good they all are.
Yeah. Past that, there's really only one other person I kind of want to talk about, and I think it's worth mentioning. You've got Grassel and Agatsi and Amos and Mura and Britschke and Rizzo and Selevko and Boyang, and like it just like you have a ton of other really great skaters in here, but all of them, there's a lot of moving around between them. But
the beautiful short program from Krilo Marsik.
Yes, Krilo Marsik's short was fantastic.
It was wonderful. I know his free program got away from him, but that short program and his beautiful kiss and cry moment was one of my favorite things about this whole competition.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful moment for him. I thought Max Naumov's short program was lovely.
It was touching. And while his free was not to that same level, he's lovely. I'm so glad he got these moments. You could tell how special it was to him. And Max just has my heart.
Yeah, but I think that you have to give some respect to Andrew Torgashev.
You do.
Because if you look at Torgashev, he lands in 12th here. He's 8th in the short, 9th in the free, and then still ends up in 12th because math is weird.
Because math.
But his free skate was awesome.
Yeah,
and
it was incredible. Like, I will give credit. I was definitely wondering how this was going to go for Andrew just because he's so hot and cold.
Yeah.
And he, again, proved me wrong. And I like that he did, because that, especially the footwork sequence in his free skate.
Phenomenal.
I mean, honestly, the footwork sequence in the short was also phenomenal. Like, he showed up and he did his job. And yes, he does deserve some kudos to the Pizza King.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that, so much of the narrative going into this was you have highly dependable Ilia and very undependable Torgashev, capable of really big, bright moments like he had at U.S. Nationals, but also capable of choking on the international stage like he has at Worlds 2 years in a row. And he came out here and he did the job. And
he did.
He doesn't have the quad firepower to get him up in that technical level near the bigger guys, and that held him back here. But performance-wise, like, he was one of the best that we saw of the night, I think.
He really was.
And so I think for him, he might walk away from this out of the top 10, but he walks away as the best performing American guy. And
I mean, yeah, he might not be the top American guy, but he had the better two performances when you put him back to back.
And I think that, he should be proud of what he did there. So
he should.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to wrap up the
We need to wrap it up because I have now developed the stress headache of talking about this. And it's hurting my soul.
I don't, because of just the nature of time and stuff, I don't think we're going to get around to doing a full proper pairs preview. So I think we're going to tack it on here, but we should talk about Gold in Our Hearts, which is a rough thing to do in this moment.
It's not rough for me.
Okay.
Gold in my heart is Ilia Malinin because, one, I don't know if I'm going to get another chance to say Gold in my heart is Ilia Malinin because he usually wins.
Yeah.
But also because my heart is genuinely with him because I feel like I'm going to cry. I hurt for him because that is such a big, so much pressure. Just the amount of pressure to be on that young man. I don't know. Like I said, I'm feeling very maternal energy right now. So I just hope he gets lots of support. And yeah, that's all.
I'm going to give Gold in my heart to Steven Gogolev.
That is a good choice.
Because Gogo just outperformed. I mean, a guy who came in here with 4 skates to represent Canada as their only guy in this competition, and he showed up every single time. He got the job done every single time. Nobody had any expectations on him.
No.
And he really did the work. And while you can say that he doesn't have as much artistry or whatever it is, he showed up in the moment and put out the skates he needed to do. And he's 5th at the Olympics and barely off the podium.
Good job, sir.
Well done. I think that's a guy who should go home to Canada feeling really, really good about his journey in skating. A guy that 2 years ago we thought was probably going to retire because of how injured he was. Just put this together. Big moments.
And frankly, go into the World Championships knowing you could medal.
Yeah.
Don't worry about like all of the predictions and what ifs and whatever happened here.
Yeah.
You're 5th at the Olympics. You could go in and get a medal.
Yeah, we have no idea who's going to go to Worlds after this. And typically the medalists kind of don't show up. And
I don't know what's going to happen with this whole situation. We could see World Champion Shun Sato, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah. But
I'd be into that.
We could see Yuma there. We could see Ilia there.
I don't know what to expect.
I have no idea what to expect.
That's a whole 5 weeks away.
Yeah, but Gogo should have a lot of confidence moving on to whatever happens next year. But let's talk briefly about the pairs competition because
I want to start because I have
hit it.
Okay. Pair starts Sunday, February 15th. That's the short program. And then they don't get a day off. So Monday, 12/16 is the free skate.
The schedule of this makes no sense.
No, it does not. The reason I want to start is because I want to start it with Queen Diana Stellato-Dudek. She will be here.
Yeah.
Obviously with Maxime Deschamps, her wonderful partner. She is in Milan. She has done her first practice and she did do a press conference where she talked about the fact that she did not have a concussion and she wanted to make that specific.
Okay.
And she brought up how a lot of different media outlets of various sorts had talked about that, and she wanted to make sure she cleared the air.
And I mean, I conjectured about that on the show because I was trying to figure, because there was all that noise about her being medically cleared, which usually means like
concussion protocols. But she specifically said that, and I kind of want to apologize because I think that I don't want to spread it. I never want to spread any kind of misinformation.
Now
and we were very clear that we knew nothing and this was all conjecture. And we were not saying that that's what it was. However, Deanna, we love you, and I'm so excited you are here. And that wasn't a concussion. So I just had to get that off my chest.
Looking ahead to the pairs competition, I think this is one where it could go a lot of different ways.
Oh my gosh.
You could say there's a favorite in the Japanese team because of how well they've performed so far.
Yes.
But also the team event did not include a couple of the other high-ranking teams. And kind of anybody on this podium is great.
Well, that's my favorite thing about the fact that this is the next competition. I feel like, number one, at the team event, I think the best overall competition in the team event was pairs. The free skate from pairs was just outstanding.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
So that gives me tons of excitement and hope for this overall pairs competition because, yeah, I mean, like you said, we could definitely say, oh, well, Miura and Kihara should win this. However, when you look at top scores of the season, theirs is a 225-21. Metokina and Beralava from Georgia, 225-20.
Yeah.
We're talking about 100th of a point.
Yeah.
And then the next back is Italy's Conti and Machi, and that's only 2 points behind them.
And they're skating here at home with some momentum behind having gotten a team bronze medal, which they were instrumental in locking for Italy.
And we have not even discussed Haas and Volodin, who, while they have not had their best season, are still entirely capable of coming in here and taking the whole thing.
And they're going to come
extraordinary.
They're going to come in like fully rested.
Yeah, they didn't do the team event like the other three we just mentioned.
Yeah, all those other three teams skated twice already. Now they've had a little bit of downtime, thankfully for them. But still, like they're not coming into this completely fresh. So, and that can be great for some of them who might have had a chance to already work out some Olympic nerves. But there's a lot to be said for being able to come in fully rested.
Exactly. And if there is a dark horse here, I would say it's Hungary's Maria Pavlova and Alexei Svievchenko. They did so well at Europeans, and they are honestly the most consistent other than Miura and Kihara this season. Don't count them out.
Oh, we always talk about the Hungarian team. They're a bridesmaid team, right? They're like the team that's usually just off the podium, or maybe they get third once in a while, but like,
then they came to Euros and were like, hold my beer.
Right, yeah. And at Euros, they probably should have gotten silver there.
Yeah.
I think that they were the better team than the Germans at that particular event, but I think they're kind of like a Mikhail Shaidorov in the sense that like they put out consistent performances and if things shake out weird, they could be up there on the podium. But yeah, I mean, and of course, you mentioned Deanna and Max, and I don't know what to expect from them at all going in here. I only really care that they show up and she gets to be an Olympian.
The one thing I know is that they are taking the backflip out of the short program, which I am honestly, like as cool as it is, and I love that she was doing it, I'm real glad they're taking that out.
Yeah. That's a necessary thing to remove. I think also, from the American teams, like you have Ellie Kim and Danny O'Shea, who are not likely to be anywhere in podium striking range. However, they did just do brilliantly in the team event and were instrumental in locking that gold.
They were clutch.
Yeah. And we'll also see Chan and Hao, who like I don't have high expectations for, but I've seen a little bit of their practices, which have looked really strong. So
that's awesome.
And there's a ton of other great teams.
Well, and I mean, I think the biggest question mark is again on Sway and Han.
Yeah.
Because we're going to see them here, but we know that Sway is injured, and that's what we saw in the team short program, that was a little scary to watch at times.
They looked rough in the team event, yeah.
So admittedly, I don't have the highest of hopes, but they are the reigning Olympic champions, so you never know what you're going to get.
And I think the question comes around to things like Miura and Kihara, who the Japanese team were absolutely brilliant in the team event.
They were amazing.
The question is always, can you sustain that? Can you take two just absolutely brilliant programs and then duplicate that? That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of work to do to live up to that over and over and over again.
Well, it's what we just saw with Yuma Kagiyama.
Yeah.
Like he had the best short program maybe of his life in that team event, and then it was still good in the men's event, but not nearly as good.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to hold up. And the question around some of these things is like, when you got the rest in between, is that good, or does it give you time to get in your head, or what happens with it? So I really feel like this is a podium that it's kind of totally up for grabs.
Well, let's do our predictions.
Oh, gosh.
We got to do predictions if we're doing a preview.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to go with Miura and Kihara at the top, the Georgian team of Metelkina and Beralava in second, and I'm going to put the Hungarians in third.
I like it. I like it a lot. I kind of just want to go with the same thing, except I'm going to put Conti and Machi in third. I will admit, like Miura and Kihara are my like heart favorites. They're my heart picks. But honestly, if I had my way, and I know we're not doing wish podiums, but I kind of want Kanti and Machi to win.
I mean, it would be huge to see them come away with it here. Yeah. And I am, like I said, I am just a little concerned for the Japanese team as far as like trying to come off skates that were so great and duplicate them, because either you have that momentum and it's awesome, then you're trying to like catch lightning in a bottle again, it could really go a lot of different directions here.
Metzolkina and Baralava could totally come in here and own.
Absolutely.
Hassan Volodin could just show up and just take the whole thing. I mean, yeah, it's hard to predict because those teams we just mentioned are all potential medalists, and most of them, I would say, are potential gold medalists. So it's really going to be very exciting and very interesting.
I really want, more than anything, is just a really good competition that doesn't have this kind of level of drama,
oh my gosh,
controversy,
exactly.
or all of that stuff around it. You know, I want
great skating.
Like, Luca, get your footwork together and don't scare the pants off of us with every lift that you do with Anastasia. Like,
I just want to see Deanna's joy. I want to see Sarah Conti just being that charismatic wonder that she is. I want to see good stuff.
Yeah, I want to see Riku do her little bouncy dance at the end of things.
It's adorable. Yes.
All I want is great moments for all these teams.
And wherever they land in terms of ranking, as a viewer, is mostly irrelevant because I think they're all amazing.
Yeah.
I know for them it matters quite a lot. So I just want them to all do their best. And that's it. But yeah, no drama, please. Like, could someone go out and like sage the ice?
Good Lord. Uncurse the ice for sure.
I beg of you.
We got a day in between. Fix that sloppy cursed ice. And whoever put a major men's event on Friday the 13th, I feel like that's like, it's going to end up the way it's going to be called. Like, it's going to be the Friday the 13th skate event, right? It's like, oh my gosh.
It's a moment of legend in the worst way.
Yeah, everybody's been kind of afraid of it ever since it got placed there.
However, I feel like we keep talking about it so negatively. Good freaking job, Mikhail Shaidorov.
The Panda locked it down, and the question will be, will he skate as the Panda in the gala?
He better. I want to see the giant panda in the exhibition. I want it. Enter the panda.
Yeah. So you should hear from us again post the pairs event. And
we're going to skip a day because we need the rest.
Oh my God, I'm so tired. This would be exhausting anyway. But when you layer in the emotional exhaustion of all of this.
Is this my first time crying in an episode? Because I feel like I've been real close.
It's been a lot. Like, I need a vacation from the Olympics after this. Like, I need like a solid week to just stare into the void.
You know what you need to do? You need to go on Instagram. You need to watch that video that Emilia Zingas.
Oh my God.
And Vadim Kolesnik.
It's so funny.
Christina Carrera and Anthony Ponomarenko posted. I love you.
It's so good. I mean, that's like, you got two dance teams where all the pressure's off. Everything else is just a chance to just hang out at the Olympics, and they're just making silly videos and having a good time together.
With Alona Mar.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. They're just having a good time, and the video stuff they've been putting out, that particular video,
it destroyed me.
If I remember, I'll link to it if it's still available.
It is. It's a reel. Yeah. It's so good.
You showed it to me at the table. I was not prepared for it, and I had the belly laugh like I couldn't stop afterwards. It's really, really funny.
It's a great palate cleanser after all of this.
Yeah. So we'll be back with you shortly in the comments.
Okay, how about this? In the comments, I mean, do your thing. Do whatever you got to do. But
in the comments, do what you got to do. Just get out of your system. You did it on the last video.
But please, if you got to do it here and leave those guys alone. They're going to have a lot.
Yeah. Like,
please.
As always, try to approach things with empathy.
They're people first.
Yeah. And I'm sure somebody will say that we didn't show enough empathy in our last episode because we were pretty upset about the way things shook out.
We were.
And we'll get to all of that. Like, it's way too much to address here. You know, and when we do our Olympic wrap up, we're going to kind of circle around to a lot of this stuff.
I've been trying to convince Adrian that we need to do an Olympic Festivus episode.
An airing of grievances.
Let us know in the comments if you'd like to hear that.
I mean, I think there's plenty to have grievances about, right? I only found out, I don't know when you knew, but like that, like right before we sat down to record this, that you were telling me that like the US is like submitting a complaint about like ice dance scoring.
Yes, they're not appealing Chuck and Bates's like ranking. That's not in the cards, y'all. I mean, as much as it's possible, I shouldn't say it's not in the cards. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I would just be very surprised if that's the case. The petition they have submitted is more to look at the judging itself and look forward in terms of like how that impacts future competitions.
Yeah, and I think
at least it's how I understand it. I saw it for like 30 seconds.
Right, and again, it's something that we'll touch on when we get to the debriefs around it. But I think that plenty of people have lobbed the sore loser thing at both us and all the other American, or
That's
Chalk and Bates fan or
fine.
whatever. Again, I mean, you're entitled to those feelings.
Everyone,
I get
they're
it.
entitled to their feelings.
But,
It's okay.
What we do know is that through this entire season, that the ice dancers have been incredibly frustrated with the judging and
that
the
includes
scoring.
Guillaume Cicerone.
Yeah,
He's been the loudest.
You saw Piper and Paul and Guillaume complain about
It's
these
in
things.
the documentary.
You saw the Italians like throw up their hands over and over at what they're scored. You saw lots of lower teams get numbers that made zero sense for them. I think everybody, regardless of outcome of this season, has largely been looking at the sport and saying like,
What is going on?
this is breaking down. And we know that some things are going to change after this season anyway. We know that it's been talked about, like that nothing's settled, yet as far as exactly what's going to happen. But we know all the disciplines are probably looking at some readjustments post the Olympics. And ice dance needs an enema. Like it just needs to be cleared out and fixed up because there's definitely some problems and it's been plaguing the entire season. So
we need to go to bed, y'all.
yeah, you get to go to bed. I get to edit this for the next 5 hours.
Sorry.
Vent in the comments, whatever it is that you need to do. We'll talk to you after the Paris event. And for Choreography, I'm Adrian Buskey.
And I'm Wendy Buskey.
We will talk to you next time.
Be kind.